You've spent years pouring your energy into building a career, supporting your family, and holding it all together. But what happens when the job you've depended on disappears, when the company restructures and your role is suddenly gone? For many women in this stage of life, this scenario is more than just a career hiccup. It's a profound life transition that raises hard questions. Who am I now? What's next? Today, on the Ever Evolving podcast, we meet someone who's been there. After being downsized from her corporate role, she didn't retreat. She pivoted. Instead of letting the loss define her, she used it as fuel to launch something new, her own consulting business. In this conversation, we'll hear how she moved from uncertainty to clarity, from loss to leadership, and how she's creating a life that's not just about making a living, but about making an impact. If you're navigating your own transition or wondering how to turn a setback into a fresh start, this episode is for you. Hi, ladies. So happy to have you join us again on the Ever Evolving Woman podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode today, and let's dive right into it. Mindy Bennett, welcome and thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule to share with us today about your journey. Mindy has launched a successful consulting company, MindyBennettConsulting.com. Mindy, please tell us a bit about your journey.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me today, Rhonda. I'm just so excited about your podcast and I'm excited to be here. My journey has been that one of transformation. I keep telling everyone I'm in the process of reinventing myself and rediscovering my purpose. And, it was a long journey. For years, I worked at a local, state, and national level in childcare systems building. I've been helping leaders expand their impact, and I've been advocating for families to have access to high quality childcare. And, at that federal level, I truly believed that's where I would retire. But when my position was eliminated, I felt like I hadn't just lost a job, but it was really a part of my identity. Yeah, I first felt the urge to jump into that next thing immediately. I started sending out resumes and calling my networks. I wanted to fix it to, regain some of that control. But before I could move forward, I decided I really had to grieve. I had to rest, and I needed some time to reflect on what I truly wanted in this next chapter of my life. So, one of the most impactful decisions that I made during that time was working with an executive coach. I'd spent years helping others grow in their leadership. I had coached them, but now I needed somebody to help guide me through this transition. And so, through that coaching, I gained some clarity on my values. I rediscovered my strengths because, boy, does this, hit you like a punch in the gut. And then I carved out my vision for the future. I realized that my next step wasn't just about finding another job. It was about creating something meaningful that aligned with who I had become. As a part of that journey, I also sought out some advice from others who had built successful consulting businesses. I wanted to learn from them. I wanted to see what was their strengths, maybe what had knocked them down while they were starting, what worked, what didn't. And then I wanted to ensure that I was able to create that successful business plan. Those conversations gave me some really invaluable insight. It was encouraging and it gave me some practical strategies to move forward with. And I could move forward with confidence. So, thanks to all of that process, I decided that a critical decision was I needed to invest in myself. I sought out some new learning opportunities and I earned 3 additional credentials that expanded my expertise and was a part of this new world that I was creating for myself. And I was pretty intentional about it. I achieved the Associate in Project Management certification, and that was to enhance my abilities to manage large scale initiatives and partnerships. I've done that my entire career, but now I'm solo. So I really had to be on my A game. And then I took the Ramsey Solutions Master Financial Coaching certification. And this was really to be able to help leaders and families navigate their financial decision making. So, my coaching isn't only on a professional way, but it's also a personal way, and finances are right there at the core. And then I went on to the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team certification, and that was just life changing. It really expanded my skills in coaching and speaking and training, and it gave me a huge network and lots of tools to really grow my business. These weren't just done to add to my resume. I really didn't need to. I have a master's degree, I have two bachelor's degrees, but they gave me confidence and credibility. And most importantly, they renewed that sense of purpose. So, with this new foundation, I launched Mindy Bennett Consulting, as Rhonda said, and I'm helping childcare systems level leaders help them grow as stronger leaders, secure funding, and build innovative partnerships. So, I'm very excited about stepping into something even bigger and more aligned with my passion.
That's so exciting, Mindy, so exciting. Tell me, Mindy, what's one thing that you would tell a woman who feels like she's too old or it's just too late to start something new?
You know, it's never too late to invest in yourself. When I lost that job, I had two choices. I could stay in the midst of loss, I could stay depressed, I could enjoy those naps that I finally decided I could take that hadn't taken in years, or I could use that opportunity to grow. So I chose growth. I sought out additional training and certifications as I shared. But that wasn't just because I had to. It was because I wanted to equip myself and to grow my skills, my confidence, and, seek out new opportunities. So, no matter your age or your stage in life, you're never too old to learn something new. Whether it's a certification, a course, or even just diving into a new area of interest, you've got to invest in your personal and professional growth so that it can open those doors that, you may have never even known existed. So don't stay where you are. You can evolve, expand, step into something even greater than you've had before. And that job loss doesn't have to be the end of the world.
I love that. I love that. I always want to be growing. Always, always. Tell me, Mindy, what's a small practical step that someone could take today to start moving towards starting their own consulting business?
So here's a simple but a powerful step. You can commit to learning something new, and you can tap into that existing knowledge base that you have and that network that you have while you do it. So many people hesitate to start a consulting business because they feel like they don't know enough. However, that truth is you probably already have a wealth of experience from your previous work that people would pay to learn from. Your past experiences are valuable assets. You can use them as that foundation to build your consulting business. And the great thing is it doesn't take a lot of money to start this type of business. So if you feel stuck or unsure of that next step, you just need to take actions. Take a few steps. Look for those certifications you may need. Take a course. Leverage that network. And I'll tell you what, that network is invaluable. And then talk to your previous colleagues. They might be your future clients.
I love that. That is such great advice. Mindy, before we sign off on this, I would love it if you could share what are your top 3 tips for women who want to begin with something new at this stage of life? You've done such a great job and you've been such a champion for these women. What are your top 3 tips for them?
This is going to sound a little bit like what I just said, but it's true. You need to invest in yourself, whether those certifications, getting coaching, building on additional skills. You've got to continue learning and adapting. That adapting is so critical. You don't be afraid to invest in that growth. Don't be afraid to take that next step. Leverage your experience and networks. You've got those skills. You've got that knowledge base. You've years developing those relationships and your knowledge. Leverage it. It will help you identify ways to share your expertise, how you can package it. Your network can provide support, insights, and opportunities you aren't even aware of. And then, take those small but bold steps. During the Maxwell training, they told us learn a little, do a little, learn a little, do a little. So you don't have to have a perfect business plan to start. Start with one small action step, whether it's learning that new credential, having that conversation, sending that email out to your network, and just sharing your expertise online. Do you know it took me 6 months to decide I was going to create my website after I purchased my domain, and I created it in a weekend? So take those small steps, build that momentum, and it will get you closer to where you want to be.
I love that. Thank you, Mindy, so much for sharing. I love the little learn a little, do a little, learn a little, do a little. That's how I've done with this podcast. Learn a little, do a little. Great advice. Thank you, Mindy, so much for joining us today. Again, you can find Mindy at mindybennettconsulting.com. I'll link her website in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you have a friend who might enjoy it, please share it with them. You can also connect with us on social media at ever.evolving.woman. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. This podcast is a space for us to learn from one another and explore topics that we don't always talk about openly. If there's a subject you'd like to hear covered, or if you have a topic you'd like to be a guest on the podcast to discuss, please let us know, and I'll do my best to make it happen. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope your day is filled with God's blessings.